Hi everybody. In this video, we will have a virtual faculty meeting where we will talk about planning for our extended school closure due to the coronavirus. During this extended school closure, we will be having virtual teaching and learning with our students, and this video will talk about how that's going to happen. We're asking that you watch this pre-recorded video. We suggest you watch it from 10 to 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, March 17th, but you could certainly watch it before then. And then we have an optional Q&A session via Zoom meeting at 10:30 this morning. Today we'll be talking about our school's plan for this extended closure. We're going to talk about what constitutes instruction and what are the parameters for instruction during the school closure. We'll talk about how to communicate our plan to students and families. We're going to talk about some supports for you, including webinars. And finally, we need to highlight that the Dane County Department of Health has instructed that we can't have more than 50 people in the building at any one time. So there is a document where we can sign up and we can keep track of how many people, I'm afraid to look. Okay, we're still okay, 32. How many people are in the building? And again, we are practicing social distancing to minimize the spread of this coronavirus. We've had some information that was already shared with folks. One was a Google presentation from Lori Burgos. We also had some guidelines on virtual learning from Lori Burgos. And finally, teacher directions for virtual days, again, shared by Lori Burgos. This presentation will cover most of the information that was shared in these items from Lori, but it would be good to go back and review these as well. We're hoping that you can see that there is some good coming out of this situation. We think that we're getting a lot stronger at our digital instruction. We're building capacity. It's an opportunity to share common curriculum. This is going to be good to have for students who are on medical leave, and an opportunity to reflect on our practice and to distribute leadership throughout the building and the district. So let's take a look at our plan. We've got some supports in place already. We've got Canvas. The district is providing Wi-Fi hotspots for family pickup at Verona Area High School. And we've got lots of digital resources in our district and at our school: Edpuzzle, ClassKick, Discovery Streaming, Library, databases, Zoom, Google Hangout, and Canvas Conference, and many other items. You have been invited to a Canvas course called Digital Learning, and please make sure you can access that Canvas course. It's got lots of tips and tricks and instructional videos on virtual learning. Some best practices, how to access our interpretation team, accommodations for students with IEPs, ideas for instruction delivery, discussions, feedback assessment, and library resources. Again, there is we will be providing some webinars over the next couple of days. There's a link in this presentation for you to see those webinars, and I'll bring those up again at the end of this presentation. Please contact Rita Mortensen if you have any ideas for webinars. Other services and supports. The student services team is making phone calls and emails to check in with students. They are working on junior conferencing and senior credit checks and providing emotional support for our students. Our special education case managers are also connecting with teachers and students, creating plans to meet special education needs. They have a Canvas resource center for each classroom that has special education support. Many of us are asking, how will we handle it if students choose not to participate in online learning? And we'll handle it similarly to how we handle it when we have students face-to-face. We need to contact families. So we need to call parents and guardians to explain what the student should be doing and asking what obstacles are keeping the student from participating. Our interpretation team is available to help us with this as well. If we are not making headway with the family, we can email or speak with the student services team. the counselor, the social worker, the associate principal. And we're going to continue assessing students and having items entered in PowerSchool. Teachers will still need to work with special education teachers and students with IEPs. Special education teachers, case managers will be communicating with their co-teachers. Special education teachers will work with students on their caseload to teach them how to access items in Canvas. There is a Canvas resource center that has recently been developed to help students understand how to use digital tools. District administrators will make sure that parents and guardians are aware of our plans. And also linked on this slide is a list of case managers and classes. And this may give you, if you're not sure who to reach out to, this document will let you know who to reach out to. Okay, so now we're going to dive into the universal curriculum and what constitutes instruction. We need to follow some common parameters so that we have consistency. So first, let's talk about minutes of instruction. Teachers should plan digital content and instruction to cover the instructional minutes as listed in the Day 1, Day 2 calendar. We will stick to our current Day 1, Day 2 schedule. This week, on Thursday, we were supposed to have a Day 1, and on Friday, we were supposed to have a Day 2. So that means that this week we need to plan for a Day 1 on Thursday and a Day 2 on Friday. That's how much, that's basically one lesson for each of my classes. Digital instruction should be posted by 8:30 a.m. daily, and really best practice would be to post digital instruction for the entire week on the first day of the week. This will also allow our special education case managers some time to make modifications for students who need it. Students need to be able to access the content at any time during the day. Now, the Wisconsin DPI has come out with some guidelines for us, and they are a little less strict than what we ask for in face-to-face instruction. So the total time for the day for the high school is 4.5 hours. What this breaks down to is about 75 minutes of work per class period every 2 days. So for periods 1 through 6, that would be 75 minutes of work every 2 days. Period 7, you can think of it roughly the same. It'll be up to you with your period 7 if you want to post things every day or if you want to switch to every other day. But it's important to note that this time, the 75 minutes of work every 2 days, covers direct instruction and homework. Again, it covers direct instruction and the homework practice. So there is no additional work outside of this time expectation. Teachers are expected to hold office hours a minimum of 1 hour per day, and it needs to be at a consistent time. I just posted my office hours as being from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. every day. The time needs to be between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., and the office hours should be communicated to both students and their families. And we'll talk about how to do that in a moment. Email and voicemail. Teachers are expected to check their email at least twice a day. You also need to be able to check your voicemail. Remember voicemail on your landline at school? These are the directions for accessing your voicemail on your landline at school. You can do this remotely by dialing either your work phone number and hitting star or dialing 845-4777 and getting to the call center. Okay, next what we're going to do is talk more about the content. So the content is going to be roughly the same as what we were doing before. We've got learning objectives, we've got standards for our courses, and perhaps more than ever, it's important that students understand what those objectives and standards are. So we would like you to post I can statements for your course, and I'll show you an example of this in a moment. A reminder that even though we're going digital, There are multiple modes for students to access instruction. You can post lecture videos like this one that you're watching right now. You can ask students to do a reading. Students can participate in a discussion on Canvas or in some other mode. They could watch a video like a Discovery Education video or a YouTube video. And they can participate in discussion with associated practice. For example, I could assign some math problems and then ask students to post the problem they found the most difficult and respond to two other students or something like that. It's important that learning is asynchronous. Students should be able to access it at any time of day. Students are not expected to be online during your scheduled class period. We are trying to provide for some flexibility for students who may have other responsibilities like caring for other children in the household or other things. So students need to be able to do the work that you assign at any time. It's important that we give feedback to students. So just like in a regular classroom, students should use multiple modes for assessing student learning, including formative, so those would be quizzes, practice, drafts of a paper, discussions, and then summative, tests, final projects, oral recordings. Teachers should collect an assessment from each class and provide some feedback to students at least once per week. Now this week is a little, we're in flux, so maybe this week we're just getting up to speed, but when we return after spring break, you should have an assessment with some feedback for your student. And it's up to you to decide what that assessment looks like. It should make sense for you and your students. I would also point out at this juncture that this is where attending a webinar with Rita would be really great, because you may say, I want to give a test, but I'm not sure how to do that when the students are not in front of me. So we've got some tools like ClassKick that might work for you. And if you don't know how to use that already, attending a webinar is a great way to learn how. Digital instruction. How are we going to communicate this with students and their families? So you've likely already seen that the Verona Area School District is communicating with families through email and through the website. There is a special page on the website linked on this slide that gives coronavirus updates. And we as teachers need to provide a consistent method of letting the students know what their assignments are. We're calling these weekly digital lesson plans. And what we're going to do is create these brief weekly lesson plans for students, families, and our administrators to access. By the way, we can also see each other's lesson plans, and collaboration is encouraged. So if you are one teacher, one of 5 teachers that teaches a course, you absolutely can share. That's a great idea. Or copy and store your own. We will store these lesson plans in a Google folder, and we will link these lesson plans in our learning management system, Canvas or Google Classroom, for our students and our families. So what I'm going to do right now is actually go out to these directions, and then I'm going to attempt to show you how to do this. I'd be really good at it on my laptop, but I'm going to try to do it on my iPad here. So there's 3 templates here. There's a template for day 1 classes, a template for day 2 classes, and a template for period 7 classes. And it's your professional judgment as to whether or not use the period 7 template, or if you lump it together with, if you teach the same class, different class periods. So I'm going to click into this lesson template for day 1. And I'm going to make a copy, and I'm going to rename it Howell Statistics. So we're going to ask you to name your lesson plan with your last name and then your course. And it disappeared. Let me try that again. So my last name and the course. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I'm going to store this. This document's already in the 1920 digital lesson plans folder. And I'm going to store this under my department, which is math. Go to math folder. Come on, buddy. There it goes. Sometimes you have to be persistent. And then I'm going to find my name. And I already have a Howell Statistics in there, so I'll have a second one now, which is a little confusing, but I'm going to go for it for the sake of education. So I'm going to hit select, and I'm going to hit OK. And now I have that lesson template stored in my folder. And let's see. Let me go back to the directions here. So once I have that in my folder, I can change it to say what I need it to say. So let me think about how to do this on my trusty iPad. Here we go. Now I'm in Google Docs. So here's my completed Howell Statistics template. So what I've got here is I've got my course, my period, my name, and then I've got when my office hours are. And then I have filled out some information. So I've got the date, my lesson objective. This is pretty ambitious, I'll admit. I may have overdone it, so I'm going to have to feel this out. I've got my lesson objective. Some of my lesson objectives here have to do with the students learning how to use Canvas, which I think is important. I've got my method of instruction. I'm going to have the students watch a video. I'm going to offer them some discussion via Canvas conferencing. And then my assessment is going to be a quiz. This quiz is really short and easy. Well, it should be short and easy. We'll see how it goes. And then I'm going to ask them to do like a good old-fashioned math assignment. So that's my plan for Friday, and we'll see how it goes. But we would like your lesson plans to look something like that. I hope that makes sense. Then what we would need to do is we're going to share this link. So I'm going to copy this link because I'm going to post it in Canvas. I've got this, I've got it in the Google Doc where I want it, but I need to post it in Canvas. So that's part 3 here. Link the lesson plans in Canvas for students and families. So the document has screenshots and shows how to do it, but I'm going to try to show it in real time here. This is how I live on the edge. So I'm going to go to Canvas and log in and go to my statistics class. And I've already done this, but I'll just show how I would do it again. I'm going to create a module, and the module is called Read. Well, you can come up with your own name, but it should be something really clear, like read before each class. So students know this is what they're looking for. And I'm going to add that module. When it adds the module, ooh, I've got a lot going on here. It actually adds it at the bottom, so I can drag it all the way to the top. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep going. Oh my goodness. Notice I have my Canvas course date with dates on it, which my students told me they like. They know what's coming next. Okay, so read before each class. So I'm going to publish that module, and I'm going to add an external URL, and I'm going to press it, paste, and it's called Weekly Plan Howell Statistics. It's not very arty, but it seems to be getting it done. Okay, and there it is. I'm going to publish it. And now students can click on this. I'm going to check my link here. Students can check on this and see my plan. And what's going to happen is I don't have to keep linking this. I'm just going to go into the Google Doc and keep updating the Google Doc. And that's going to make my life so much easier. So that is that. Okay. back to business here. So the digital lesson plan directions go through this process, and the last step is to repeat the process for each course that you teach. So at the top of each course, you would have your lesson plans linked. Okay, so there's our 3 steps. Create the plans, store them in the Google folder, and link our plans in Canvas. If you're using Google Classroom, please find a way to link them in Google Classroom. There's a picture of the plan. Okay, some guidelines for the plans. Please complete them by Monday morning once we get this up and rolling. So for March 30th. For this week, we would like you to have your plans ready by Thursday morning. Each day that a class is scheduled to meet should have a plan. And again, just a reminder that each class should have a formative or summative assessment at least once per week to give students some regular feedback on their learning. This is the location in Google. You can see Verona Area High School staff resources, which, by the way, I believe is in our intranet. This is a Google folder. We've got the 1920 staff resources inside that folder, and now we're inside of 1920 digital lesson plans. This is what it looks like. There's a folder for each department, and then inside each department there's a folder with each staff member's name, and then inside that folder I would put my lesson plans. I'm in 2 departments, so I should probably move my physics to science, but one step at a time. We're trying to get it all figured out here. Here's what it looks like for students. And these are the directions that I just went through. Again, we want a module that stays at the top that says something like read this before each class. We want an external URL that loads in a new tab. And again, it's at the top of the Canvas page. Okay, so now you may be wondering, well, that's great. The kids can see it, but what about their families? This information will be shared with families shortly, in the next day or 2, I believe. And it's really neat the way that parents can see Canvas as an observer. So this is another set of directions. In order to access Canvas, what the family does need to do is sit down with their student and have the student log into Canvas. So that is key. The student needs to log into Canvas. Then they click Settings on the left-hand side. And then under Settings, they can click Pair with Observer on the right side of the screen, and they will get a code. And they either screenshot or jot down that code. Then the parent or family member, Canvas calls it Canvas Parent, but we'll call it Canvas Family. The family member downloads the parent app from the App Store, and they have to find their school, and our school is Verona Area School District Parent. And then at the bottom, you've got to click on, or they've got to click on this orange part here. Click here, it's free. And then they go to a gray screen, and they have to click on this little blue part, Parents Sign Up Here. Okay, if they can get that far, they are home free, because then they just need to enter name, email, password, and the pairing code. And they will see their student's name and their classes in Canvas almost just like the student sees it. They can also see grades and assignments. So that should be very, very helpful for families. All right. Now, how do I get out of here? I'm done. All right. Next slide. Okay. So that concludes the big picture in how we are going to create consistency in our lesson plans for our students and their families, how we're going to share it with our students, share it with each other, and share it with families. Let's review some other supports in our school. Again, Rita Mortensen is going to offer some webinars on these wonderful digital resources. The webinars she's got lots of them tentatively planned here. If you have things that you would like her to offer, please let her know. And many of these integrate with Canvas, and it's really pretty slick once you figure it out. Okay. If you need assistance, we're all still working. We're just working remotely. So student concerns, we still have our wonderful student services team in place. We've got our wonderful translation team in place. Technology issues, we still got the web help desk. Technology, contact Rita Mortensen. For library, contact Teresa Voss. For our English learners, contact Julie Genuine. And for special education, contact Sarah Hallberg. Our student services team is holding office hours that are listed here between 8 and 10, 10 and 12, and 10 and 2. This is when they are available virtually and online. And we'll close this now. Again, we will be having a digital webinar through Zoom. Check your email and check your Google Calendar for a Zoom invitation. The Zoom webinar will happen on Tuesday, March 17th at 10:30 in the morning. And we will be able to answer questions and concerns and learn from each other. And I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. We need to say thank you. Thank you for everything you've already done. Thank you for everything you're doing right now. Thank you for everything you'll be doing in the future. We are so fortunate to have this flexible, hard-working staff at Verona Area High School. We see you. We appreciate everything you're doing for our families, our students, our community. And this is an adventure. This is changing very quickly, and we appreciate all of your work during this time. Remember, we have 2 instructional days this week, Thursday and Friday. And remember also that we've got this. We've got a great team. It's spring break next week, and we're going to figure it out. This has been Annalise Howell, your Curriculum and Learning Specialist, Math and Physics teacher. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's webinar.